Well, Girls Gone Sober. Welcome to a new day. It's the dawn of a new day.
Ooh, I'm Lindsay.
Right, and I'm Amy, and we're so glad to have you here. We have all kinds of things to talk about today, amidst holiday craziness and everything else going on in the world. So how are you, Linz? What's going on with you?
I'm good. I'm coming up on 6 months.
What?
Woohoo!
Crazy town.
It seems so long, but it seems so short.
You know what I think is fun? I was thinking about this, and I commented on it to you yesterday, maybe, the 180 thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we mark 30 days and 90 days. But when you're thinking about your 6 months, you're thinking about your sobriety date, not 180 days.
Right.
Isn't that funny? Because you're at 180 days. That's 6 months. We're doing 30 days, 90 days, right?
Right.
So,
yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking about it like you could have already picked up your chip was where I was going with that.
No, I do my date.
You want to do your date?
Yeah.
So your date is what? It's the...
It's soon. Yeah.
16.
So 6 months feels like forever, and it feels like a day sometimes. So it's a little bit of both for me.
I know. I feel like you're like Mama Bear sober forever right now.
I do, although this week just didn't feel that way. So it was a bit of a rough kind of week all around. I'm not really sure. It could be the holidays, the weather, whatever.
You could chair meetings if you have enough time.
Oh, God. I would never chair a meeting. I know when the guy walked up and asked the other day, he's like, you guys want to chair the meeting? We're like, we're not qualified for that.
Well, and I thought he was kidding, but you really
serious.
could.
Okay.
I think, Sorry. All right.
I don't want to. Nobody asked me.
All right. I do. I'm in.
I feel like that's like maybe when I get to a year.
Sign me up. Okay.
So I'm excited about it. I think I think it marks like a substantial, a little bit amount of time. Like I feel like it's a good milestone. Feel good, feel
it's
strong.
Huge. It's a huge milestone.
I mean, I think it takes a lot of work just to admit that you have a problem, to go to AA, to try to find help, to find an outlet like we're doing here, you know, some sort of like cathartic experience you can have on a regular basis to like refill your sobriety tank almost.
Yeah. So I have a question for you. You're not going to love this one.
Oh.
So you're 6 months in and you're going to meetings and you're doing some personal work, but you're not really working the AA program.
Correct.
Is that something that you have intent of, or?
Yes. I am being extremely picky about who I ask to be a sponsor because I don't, like the first step is getting a sponsor, then you go through the steps. So basically already done the first couple steps just because, I'm in therapy and I am going to AA. Have you read
the first couple of steps?
I have. Okay. I'm done with the steps. I'm on the tradition part of the book.
Okay.
So I've got the tools, blah, 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 blah. I think I'm being extremely particular because I want to find an easier sponsor. I want to find somebody that I like. I'm being very picky because
easier, what does that mean?
Like someone that's not maybe going to call me on all my bullshit.
Is that what you want?
I know it's not what I want, but subconsciously, I think
want
that's
someone
like,
who's not going to call you.
No,
on
I
your
do.
bullshit?
I want someone who's going to call me on my bullshit. I just think that's. I don't know. Maybe
I think this is really interesting. I'm going to call you on your bullshit right now because this is kind of I think it's the same as.
I'm getting so.
I know, right? I love this topic. I think it's the same as when I didn't want to tell John about going to meeting. Because it was like, it was kind of
real.
It was kind of, it was real, and it was kind of an out, not, you know what I mean? I'm not saying you're going to drink. I just mean, like, for me, it was kind of an out.
Oh, for sure.
But for you, it's kind of an out not to go through parts of this process, so.
And it's not something, like, I know I need it, and I've been talking about needing to get a sponsor. I've just been kind of choosy on who, it's such a vulnerable position because you're spilling your beans like all over the place. Like you're vomiting
we could
everything.
have the same sponsor, right?
See, I didn't know about that either. I didn't know if you had talked to her about that.
I have not, because that's not my place, but we could have the same sponsor. You could talk to her and we could do stuff together.
See, and I think that's
they
good.
They sponsor multiple people.
I know. I can never do that.
Here's an interesting thing that I talked about with my therapist at our last session. She said to me, a sponsor's job is to because I said, I don't know when I could ever be a sponsor because I don't want to be a drunk babysitter. I can't get a call in the middle of the night that I need to come get you. She said, I don't talk to drunk people. That's what my therapist said. She said, I don't talk to drunk people. If somebody calls me and they've been drinking, I tell them to call me when they're sober. Call me tomorrow when you're sober.
Because what are you really going to get through to them?
She said the sponsor's job is to take you through the steps. The sponsor's job is to go through the book and take you through the steps. And that's it. Okay. So it maybe frame it a little differently for you, but it's not. They don't have to be they're not your therapist, right? And their job is to take you through the steps. So
it's like monitor to make sure you're actually doing the homework that you need to do, because it is really in depth, and that's part of the, just the scary process is like you have to take a look at everything you've done. So while it's nice to be like, oh, I'm sober for 6 months, look at all this great stuff I'm doing now, like I really do have to go back and reflect on all the people I've fucking torn through their lives.
Yeah, the fourth step is the one that like is the gut fucker.
So I need to.
And
do you want to touch base on how you're doing with that?
Yeah, well, we've just started. So I'm coming up on 90 days. I'm a little more than a week away from 90 days. I've had my sponsor for a little while, and I don't want to take
She's lovely.
I don't want to take this thunder away from you by making No.
I wanted to be about.
I've had my sponsor for a little while. She is lovely. I'm supposed to call her every day.
Do you?
No, I'm awful.
Is she okay with that?
She's great. She loves me. She doesn't care. She wants me to. She wants me to check in every day, but I forget. My days get crazy. I mean to call her and I forget. Sometimes I just text her and check in hey, I'm doing okay. Sometimes that's all it is. Sometimes I see her. Yesterday, I told her I was going to go to the noon meeting, and she was like, oh, I'll go to the meeting. So we saw each other there. And it's not necessarily it's just a how are you check-in. Are you okay? Do you feel like drinking?
So do you feel like that's an obligation for you, or do you feel like it's like a nice relief?
It's sometimes it's one, sometimes it's the other. Sometimes I'm like, God, why did I pick a sponsor?
As you're giving me shit.
Yeah, well, sometimes I do feel I told you that. Sometimes I do feel that way because it's one more thing in my day I gotta worry about. It's one more step I gotta take. Sometimes I'm like, oh, she's so sweet. I love when I talk to her. And I really, it's not a lot of back and forth. It's just hey, how are you? What do you got going on today? How are things? I'm going to the holiday party. Do you have a plan? Yep, I'm okay. It's just kind of a check-in. It's quick. It's not a big deal. But we just started going through the steps. We've decided we're going to get together every 2 weeks. So every other Monday before I go to my normal home group, we're going to meet up. She's going to come to meeting with me, but beforehand we'll go through some step work. So we did the first one this past Monday. She came over my house because meeting's right up the street from my house. And we read part of the book. So we read through some of the big book together, just in 4th grade.
Oh my God. See, that's so awkward. Was it?
It wasn't. Okay. It was really okay. She's like, do you want to start? Do you want me to start? And then I just read the whole thing. It was fine.
You're an excellent reader.
I don't mind reading out loud. I'm very comfortable with it. So we read through a portion of the book. I don't remember exactly what it was. And then she gave me some homework. She gave me, and I think I sent you the pictures of it. So there's a bunch of questions to go through to kind of self-assess.
I read the first one and I was like, oh, I can't do that right now.
Seriously, I did the same thing. I haven't worked on it at all. I read them and then I was like, oh, I'll get to that. It did. It kind of brought up and I'm like, some of the stuff I'm not going to remember. Do you remember a time that this happened? Describe when this happened. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to remember.
I feel like I was blackout drunk.
Yeah, I was fucking blackout drunk. I don't know. So I'm going to do the best I can. It's actually something I'm going to work on a little bit, probably today and tomorrow.
Good.
Or today, tomorrow, but it wasn't uncomfortable. Have I done any real work yet? No. We've just started to dip a toe in the water, but.
So I think I've done a little bit of different kind of work than those steps. I've been really, I don't know, just trying, I read my daily reflections in the morning. I've been really trying to stick to that. I didn't read it this morning. But I was really excited about getting here and meeting you. But I've been trying to put that and habit stack that in with getting up, making coffee, sit down, do that.
Read, yeah.
Right.
It's your devotional.
Right.
Without the Jesus.
Right. And, make it to 2 or 3 meetings a week. That's been a little bit more challenging just because of the location of the meeting I like to go to isn't really like
right.
convenient.
It's not the most convenient.
But I feel like that's like more my people, so I like going there.
Yeah.
It makes it a better experience overall. I've been going to the meetings. I don't feel like I'm having this severe itch or something, or I'm a very positive person anyways, and I'm like a happy-go-luckier. So I think it's a little bit easier for me to stay more positive. You know, and I've just been doing I read a lot of self-help books. I've been trying to go to the gym. I quit smoking. So I'm like trying to do healthier things just like in general.
Right.
The more internal work I've been doing, I guess, more like in my relationship than in just Lindsay. So that stuff is the part I need to do, like through the steps and like looking at the questions you gave me, like how great would that be if I had all that foundation done by the time I do get a sponsor? I can be like, boom, call me in a month, you know?
Funny. Check.
Yeah. Pre-racks already done.
I think my perception, and I don't know because I'm not through this part yet, but I think the middle steps are probably the key components. And I can't come up with the phrase that my therapist had used. She had broken it down into like
the first
the higher
couple,
power, clean house, help another alcoholic. Like it was like it was those three components. So like steps 1, 2, 3 probably whip through pretty quickly because they're like
we've already done them.
Acknowledge you have a problem,
right?
You know, some higher power or like whatever stuff, like that stuff. I don't know that I've really done that. Like I don't know about the higher power piece. I got to think about that a little bit. And then the next segment, like 4 through whatever, are about, you know, somewhat atoning for what you've done. But this is where I'm getting into my perception about things. I think the whole thing with the amends isn't really about, and I don't know because I'm not doing this yet.
See, and I think
I don't think it's really about like making it up to others. I think it's about us being able to move forward without guilt and shame. That's what I think. I think it's coming to terms with what we've done and letting it go so that we can move forward without guilt and shame. Because for a lot of people, and to some degree I can relate to this, for a lot of people the drinking is about feeling low self-confidence and shameful and bad about yourself and guilty about things you have or haven't done. And so I think for a lot of people, and I'm sure my list will be just as long as any other normal person or, you know, abnormal person's list. But I think for the people like us going through that process of here's all the things that I know I feel guilty and shameful about, let me at least apologize in some way and let it go and move on. Or make up for it some way, like monetary. I hear a lot of monetary comments, like which like I don't like steal from anybody. Like I could probably owe some people a couple bucks that I could make good on, but it's not like anything crazy.
It'll be interesting to see when you actually get to that step and go through that process, because your perception of it now, I think it'd be great to like, you know, we have this to look back on, and then when you're actually going through it, and that's the one thing.
I think it's the worry that people are going to drink again because they're carrying all this baggage.
Yeah.
So you go through this so that you can dump that baggage, and that's one less package you have to worry about causing you to drink again.
Right. No, I see that. And I think it's great that you have MC and that she's so lovely, and she's really a sweet, lovely lady. Yeah. I, you know, get to chat with her frequently. And she adores you. You can tell. It's really, you have like a good one. And I think that that's maybe another reason, like, I want to have a good one that I have that bond with.
I'll share her.
No, I don't. I think it would be good if we had different ones, because then we could share a different perspective.
Sure.
Which is, I think, would be good. I think yours is good. I think I need a badass. I think she's too nice. I think I need someone to be like, bitch, I told you to do this and you didn't do it. Like, I need somebody to be like a little bit more aggressive.
You've said that, but then you kind of contradicted yourself at the beginning of this.
I know. Well, because I'm
I think
scared.
You could just pick somebody.
Yeah.
And
I think
then,
they could be a temporary.
Yeah, and then...
Like, it's not like I'm getting married.
And nobody seems to care when that changes. Like, I've heard enough people say, like, oh, this, you know, I had this person, then I had this person, and then, or...
Oh, I don't want to be like a sponsor whore.
Oh, my God. But anyway. You know, like, that temporary thing is a real thing. Like, people do it. Like, I just need somebody to start me going down this path, and then...
So does it help you identify as being a non-drinker or in recovery, however you like, how have you identified yourself? Like, do you identify yourself with one of those? Like, I'm in recovery, or I just don't drink, or I have a sponsor, or does any of that like fit for you now? Or are you just like, I don't know
that I really label any of that, to be honest. I don't think that deeply about that particular thing. I reference the in recovery thing in conversation with you and me and with, certain people. I do reference that, but I don't always identify with, I don't know how to word this. So there's a lot of people who've had a lot of worse situations than I have. Like, I'm a drunk for sure. I'm an alcoholic, no doubt. I wasn't an alcoholic or I didn't wait until I was an alcoholic to the point of liver failure, body shutting down, going to detox, going to rehab, doing all of those things that some people...
Like, you didn't get off at the bottom floor.
Right. Like, I always say the elevator thing, right? Like, I got off on the third floor. I didn't wait till I hit the basement.
Right. Yeah. And everybody's basement and third floor are different. So that's all perspective
for sure. But I guess because I feel like I hear such worse stories than... I mean, I have plenty of bad stories, but I hear such worse things that I'm like, I don't know if I put myself in a different category sometimes, I guess. Not saying I'm better than anybody, just that I didn't experience as severe a problem. And so to say I'm in recovery, it doesn't feel as...
it feels too serious?
It feels like I'm overinflating to some degree, I guess. Like, I don't know.
That's so interesting.
I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to get at there.
I don't say I'm in recovery. I just say I do not drink anymore. Like, I don't identify that way. I just say I don't drink anymore. Yeah. I hope that's forever.
I don't drink anymore. I do say that. Like, if you're saying, like, what are the words that come out of my mouth? That I do. Yeah. Oh, I don't drink anymore. I do say that. Or I don't drink. I say I don't drink a lot. And to people who know me and have been with me through drinking, I say, oh, I've stopped drinking. Like, I had a conversation yesterday with someone we were talking about earlier, because she invited me to have beer with her. And I was like, oh, no, I stopped drinking a couple months back. And she was like, oh, like, forever? And I was like, yep, that's the goal. Forever. Better for everybody. Like, yeah. It was that kind of conversation.
I guess it's just identifying, like, it's just finding a different... you're kind of figuring out what works for you and saying it more and more. It's like easier and easier for me to say, just like anything else. The first time you do something, remember the first time I said I'm not going to drink for forever. It was
yeah.
Like, it was hard to like get the worst
day
out.
Ever. It was day 88. I remember it.
Yeah.
It's like emblazoned in my brain. Well, actually, I don't think it was day 88. I do remember you saying to me, like, well, yeah, I probably can't ever drink again. And I was like, oh my God, I've lost my best friend.
I know.
Like, I was so sad. I remember that. But I'm very grateful now that we all got on this train together. There was something I was just going to share with you. Oh, about identifying. So... for a long time, and I mean, I'm still early. We're talking day 81 here, but for a while, it was. I was worried about people knowing I wasn't drinking. I was worried about people knowing I was sober. Ooh. Because that means I'm an alcoholic, right? Like, and there's this stigma, and I was worried about that for a long time. And now I'm really. I wrote this down because I wanted to say it today. I keep hearing the same message from various sources, and the message is, I'm so worried about people knowing I'm an alcoholic or knowing I don't drink, but I didn't mind that they saw me shit-faced everywhere I went. I didn't mind that they saw me falling down drunk at every party or every golf tournament or all around town.
Right.
Whereas, that's a little messed up. So I think that's finally, like, actually taken root in my brain, and I'm owning that it's okay. It's okay. I don't want to out myself to the whole wide world. I'm not always comfortable really giving the whole message, but I'm okay saying I don't drink anymore because I had a problem.
And I totally get it. Like, it's hard to be like, oh, like, you just don't want people to know you're an alcoholic, but it's okay to let them know that you're not drinking, which is this weird like twist on things, I guess.
Because the word alcoholic like comes across badly. Like you think about work, like, oh, I'm an alcoholic, and people at work are like, oh shit, right?
But you know what? I think
that means she's gonna show up drunk. Like,
but I think another thing is that that's the stigma. We're here to like kind of break that, because it is like, by saying like, I've had a lot of people say, wow, I wish I could not drink, or hey, I shared your podcast with a friend that I think has some issues, and like that makes me feel really good. It's like, if I can do it, I feel like anybody can do it.
Yeah.
I say that a lot, but
it's about breaking the stigma for other alcoholics, not to feel bad. I agree. It's not about breaking the public's perception.
Oh no, I mean,
like,
fuck them. It's about you being comfortable
Yeah.
going through this journey, because it's not sexy. It's not AA. It doesn't sound sexy. It sounds like a bunch of drunks smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee and like.
Right.
But it's
Ed Norton in the basement of his support group and Fight Club.
Right. So like that's not
and sometimes
really
it's a little bit like that.
attractive. So we don't want to make it attractive, but we want to make it something that people can be comfortable going to and having like an outlet.
And as early as you can, like that's the other piece that I think is like blowing up the front of my brain lately is, we're so lucky that we're here when we're here. Mm-hmm. We're so early. We're young. We're so young to be here now and not when we're 50 and 60 and looking at what some people have gone through who are in the rooms, who've been there for a year, and they're way older than us, and they've fucked up their bodies and they've fucked up their lives. Like we're so fortunate that we're here now and not when we've ruined our relationships, lost our jobs, been in jail. Like
we've done some of those things.
Well, you know what I mean, like real jail, not just like 8-hour jail. But like all of those things, like that's all coming. That's all in our future if we kept doing what we were doing.
Oh yeah, well it's
so we're so lucky to be here now.
We see like what we could turn into, and how like disruptive the disease is, and how like it just moves so quickly too. Like you could see somebody at one point and then just watch them go to like just how
hell in a handbasket.
Hell in a perfect. And then you see people in the room that are like in their 70s and they're like day 24, and it's like woohoo, go get it. But at the same time, it's like Jesus.
God, I'm so glad I got off that train as early.
Yes.
So I went to a meeting. Speaking of getting off the train early, I went to a meeting. So I quit the band if we haven't talked in detail about this, I sing, and I was singing with a band, and it hasn't been a good situation for a while, like the entire time. And it hasn't been all that long. It's probably been like 6-8 months, but it hasn't been a good fit. It's really inconvenient to get to where we practice. I don't really jibe with the guy that's like the band leader. It's his band.
It's been like kind of a shit show from
been
day
icky.
one.
I don't love the music he picks. Like none of it's been really good. And it's been, I think I was still drinking when we first started. I stopped like in the middle of it. And I quit the band. I was supposed to be there for practice last night, and I dumped him via text, and it was the right thing to do. It's been a huge burden on my brain, a lot of anxiety, finally done. So I decided to go to a meeting last night. So I went to a meeting down the road from our other friend, and it was a beginner's meeting, and it was in a more, like, we go to meeting in, like, Sleepy Town, and this is more, like, not metropolitan area, but it's a little...
It is a metropolitan area.
Okay, so it's more of a metropolitan area. So I went there, and the room was full of 20 and 30-year-olds.
Yay!
I was shocked by that. I've never been in a meeting that was like that. I mean, there were some people who were in their 50s and their 40s, but it was a very young room. And the person chairing the meeting, if she was in her 30s, I'll eat my pen. And the guy who spoke was probably in his very early 30s and sharing his story. And it was really amazing and sad and motivating, and like it was like 25 different feelings. And I called my mom to like gab with my mom on my way home, and I was telling her about the fact that it was so young, and she was like, oh my god, that's so sad, da, da, da. And I was like, you know what, I actually think like good for you guys, like you got off the bus so early. I'm sure it's hard, and some of you are gonna have relapses and challenges, but if I had stopped in my 20s, early 30s, like how different a place I would be in today, like 10 years later. It really, I was excited for them.
Oh yeah, like now they're like restarting, because that's kind of how I feel, like it's like a restart.
Yeah.
And I'd rather restart at 33 than at or well, I guess it was 32, but I'd rather restart at 32 than at 42, 52, 62, and so on.
41.
Right. So, you know, it's just like,
I
that's
forget
more
that
power
we have such
to you.
an age gap. It's so weird to me. Like, we're same age in my head. So, yeah, absolutely.
That's awesome. I'd love to attend that.
Yeah, it was I actually really enjoyed that meeting. There were some great shares. Very, like, you know how sometimes people share and you're like, oh, stop talking.
Yes.
Because they're just talking to hear themselves talk. But this was like, they were really like poignant shares. Like they were meaningful. They were to the point. It wasn't just like a blah blah. The one that was like a blah blah that went on way too long was an older person in the room, and I was like, oh. But there were some really good shares that went on, and the speaker, I mean, it was gut wrenching to hear his story. He really went through some awful things, and I related a lot to his story because it kind of started with being an outcast in school. It started with like very young, like 8-10 years old, not feeling like he belonged, not really having any friends, kind of hiding in a video game 8-10 hours a day. Like that was his like little world. And then discovering the drinking crew, which is what I did. Like I discovered the potheads were the ones who took me in, right? And they were also the drinkers. And so all of a sudden you had a crew of people who were
accepted
your friends.
you, right?
Yeah, and it spiraled, and you felt comfortable because you were drunk and your inhibitions were gone and you felt better about yourself and whatever, and just running with that feeling. And I can totally relate to that. I mean, high school
yeah,
like, seriously, so it was great.
and you like, I like that you can like when they have the speakers for the meetings.
Yeah, it's my
I like
favorite.
that.
It's my favorite.
And I like share time too, but I do like the speakers, and I feel like no matter what this story is, there's something in there that that is like a piece of you in their
me
story.
too.
Yes. Not that me too, but yeah. Wrong me too.
Hashtag me also.
Yeah.
Hashtag been there.
Sounds familiar.
Been there.
But you can like pick these tiny little pieces, and it can be, you know, like a 80-year-old man up there talking about the war or something, and there's like a piece of something that you see yourself, and that's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's like motivating and reassuring, and it is kind of like, oh God, they're so young, but you know, like you said, it's so good that they are restarting so young. And think about the rest. Like, I'm so grateful. My life is just, things that are important now are so much more meaningful than the things that were important 8 months ago to me. And if I could have done that a decade ago, that would be even better. To like think of how great the last, 10 years could have been, but then you wouldn't be where you're at. So there's a blah, 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 blah.
Well, and I don't, sometimes I struggle to relate to people talking about, my life is so much better. And this,
I'm a grateful alcoholic.
Sometimes I struggle to relate to that because, like, I have a good life. I'm very fortunate. I have a good life, and things are going in the right direction. And I got off the elevator early enough that I hadn't ruined some of the, I ruined some things that I can't go back and fix, and I have to go forward. But I have a good life, and so I don't always relate, because I think people are, a lot of times, like, I envision people are coming from like homeless in the gutter to, my life is amazing now because I have a roof over my head and I can buy food and clothing and I have a job waiting tables and I'm excited. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel
but doesn't it make you more grateful for the things you have, that they're so grateful for that, but you've had it the whole time?
Yeah, but it makes me, yes, but in an ungrateful, spoiled brat way, I'm kind of like, I don't expect more. I don't know what the, like, my life is I'm gonna have this amazing life that I never could have dreamed of. I don't know what that would look like.
So for me, what that looks like, because I've thought about that, and it really bothered me when I first came in the rooms. It actually like almost steered me away.
Yeah, it's almost a put
say
off.
that, right? But I feel like I kind of am seeing it a little bit personally,
That's
because
cool.
It's not about what you gain; it's about the clarity of what you have, right? So, like, it's just different. Like, you're not. We've always had a roof. We've been fortunate. Blah blah blah.
Right.
All that good stuff. Good job, friends, family, whatever it might be. But now I still have all those same things, and I actually have like a less stuff currently, but like but the things I have are so much better, and it's not stuff. It's my relationship. It's so much more meaningful.
Well, and I don't mean to make it sound like it's things.
No, and I get that, but I mean, like, it's just so much more meaningful of, like, my relationships than even about things. Like, even this, painting Pat got me. It's a picture of, it almost looks like me,
Oh my God, it's so cute.
But, like, the meaning of that is just so much more that I don't think that I could have ever been as grateful for had I not been an alcoholic. So some of that is a more like enlightening experience that I think I'm just starting to crack the window of.
Okay.
And I hope to be one of those annoying people one day because it's so great. I mean, that they're pure like joy in their soul. It just like radiates out of their body, and like I want that. I want whatever that is. I want it, and I feel like I'm
awesome.
Gaining it somewhat. So I think it's kind of how you look at that. I see what you're saying.
I think it depends. I mean, I'm just not there. I'm not in that space. Like, I don't know how I'm going to feel 6 months from now. I could feel way different. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, whatever. I could feel way different. I don't know. This is where I'm at today. Today, that stuff kind of sometimes
don't bang on the table.
Irks me. Yeah.
Forgot sound.
Editing nightmare.
No, I think it's great. And I think that it'll be really interesting to touch base on, like, where we're at with the steps and sponsor. I'm really excited that you're going through them. I am going to try to do some of that homework too, and we can compare some notes. And then when I do get a sponsor, they'll be like, oh, she'll be like, because you always get same-sex sponsor.
Yeah, that
Very
was
important.
Oh, so yesterday, the woman who spoke at the meeting I went to yesterday, she had a great story. Wow, the fact that she's alive today was nothing short of miraculous. I'm sorry. So why was I saying that though? What did you just say? That kicked that off for me. Sponsor, work, what else? Oh, she got a dude sponsor. And she was talking about it. I'm just like, ooh, I can't see anywhere in the world where that would be comfortable for me.
Me neither. And you shouldn't. There's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't question.
Because I can't imagine people don't end up sleeping with their sponsor, just right?
Do it,
like, you get pretty, like, personal. You're pouring your guts out there. I'm like, ooh, no, that can't be good.
No, don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah, girls with girls, boys with boys.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how you go through the steps. I'm very, very interested to see how you and MC roll on through this.
I'm less excited to tell you about it now. I want you to do your own.
Well, I'm going to.
Yeah, but you're doing it by yourself.
I know. I will get a sponsor.
By yourself. It's not up to me to tell you need to.
I know. No, I need to. I know I do. It's the next step, and
I just suspect there's value in it. I haven't gone through the process yet, but I think I don't know.
Well, that's working the program, right? And for everybody, it's however you get into it is how you get into it. And for me, like my therapist, she's like 90 meetings, 90 days, like very old school with what how she sponsors people.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I'm in it. I'm not drinking. I'm feeling good. I'm going to get a sponsor and go through the steps. And this is the phase. So I'm in it. Not every day is peaches, but like I'm doing really good.
You're doing amazing. You're doing amazing.
I feel really good about it, and I'm going to get the sponsor when I feel the connection. I guess there doesn't need to be electricity with your sponsor, but
yeah,
it will happen.
Some people describe it as like the dudes, especially men, talk about like how freaked out they are to ask another dude to sponsor them because they feel like they're asking them out on a date. I don't think women have quite the same anxiety about that. Especially us, we'd be like, "Will you date me?"
Yeah, totally.
But it is interesting, and I get it. I mean, I was lucky with how mine happened because we had seen someone speak who we liked their little gaggle, and that's another option. There's, people within that little gaggle that might be good for you. I don't know.
So I would say that to wrap it up, it's that time. I know.
Okay.
Could talk forever.
I did want to
any burning desires.
I did want to throw something out there about, because we touched on this in the last episode about going to lots of different meetings, picking your home group, that kind of thing. So I do think that that's really important. I think there's a lot of places that have lots of meetings throughout the day. And every one of them has a different vibe. So
Totally.
I'm a little transient because for my job, I'm all over the state sometimes, and I try to go every day. And so I have to go to a variety of places at a variety of times. I have definitely found certain places that I like better than others. And I will say the group that I have finally chosen as my home group, it's not the group I go to every single day. I have like a dedicated day that I go to that meeting, and I try to go to that meeting as much as I can because they meet every day. But they have become like family. I mean, really, I walk in the door and I know everybody, and everybody's super warm and welcoming and friendly and lovely. And I mean, and there's actually someone in there that might be really good for you. I might need to steal you for a nighttime meeting because you might. Anyway, so when you're exploring, don't just go to a meeting at a location and then write that place off.
Right.
As not your place. Try different times too, because you may find that a certain group at a certain time fits you better, even though
We
it's at
stumbled
the same
on
location.
that women's group the other day.
Yeah.
I mean, that was random,
yeah,
right?
we didn't know it was women's meeting.
So it's good.
And use
so
the
yeah.
apps. There's apps for meetings. Like
Apps
use
are
that stuff.
wonderful. I mean, use technology. Like there's Reddit streams that I read. You know, there's also other podcasts that we listen to and Instagrams we follow, and the meeting apps, our Sobriety app, which I mean, even the thought of setting that back is what will sober me up in a second.
And I listen to podcasts of people that I know are sober, not necessarily a sobriety podcast.
Okay.
And I even find that beneficial because once in a while they bring up the fact that they're sober, but I don't know, I just enjoy the fact that I know, like, it's a celebrity and I know they're a sober person and they talk about it once in a while, but it's not like the whole podcast is that. It could be plenty of other things, but there's something about it, like, there's something about connecting with other people that have the same issue.
Absolutely.
It is a unique
You walk into a
issue
room,
to us.
and I was listening to something, and someone was like, "Oh, I don't like how they identify as drunks." And I'm like, you know what? One of the first meetings I went to was somebody said, you take what you need and you leave the rest.
Right.
And if there's something, you can't just generalize it as a whole. Like, you have to want to find something in it. It's like you get what you need out of it. And so if you get some other stuff, just leave it. Just fucking leave it. Take what you need. Take your nugget, run home, absorb that.
And maybe it's just an hour to breathe. Whatever reason, if that meeting just didn't get you, that's okay. Just you had an hour to breathe and take a minute for yourself. So
we just strongly urge that you find a tribe.
Yep.
We're here to help if you need anything.
Find a couple tribes. If you need to. We've got a couple tribes.
Tons of different. That's what's so great about Sobriety Now versus when they wrote the AA book many moons ago. Like, there wasn't all this technology to really share and have the connection worldwide. So if there's anything that you want to chat with us about, or you think would be beneficial for even podcasts you like to listen to, things that help you, through the holidays, through your AA groups or groups you found that also work, just give us a shout.
wildgirlsgonesober@gmail.com, Facebook and Instagram. And please subscribe and follow. And if you are participating in other social media groups that allow you to share things, share this podcast link with whatever sober groups you're a part of. We're sharing it in some, but there's plenty we don't know about. We want to see how far-reaching we can be and how helpful we can be. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we can't wait to talk to you next time. Stay sober in paradise.
And until next time, just take it one day at a time.
One day at a time.